Hi there guys, my name is Joseph Devlin and you're back for another informative video about the neuromuscular skeletal system and how I can share my knowledge and help to democratize the information that's out there, make it a little bit easier for people to have some control and take back some proactivity around your health in regards especially to injury. Today I'm talking about injury to the ankle, in particular a fracture or a broken bone in the ankle, and also a ligament tear in the ankle. I've done this specifically because I've had two friends recently who've had different injuries to their ankles, and they are now beginning their rehab cycle. So I thought I'd just make this video and it could be useful for loads of people out there. So hopefully it is. Apologies the background noise here. It's a really hot sunny day here in North County Wicklow, and I have the window open because it is roasting hot. We do get warm weather here in Ireland, by the way. So I want to talk about the ankle specifically and about injury to the ankle and what you're going to experience with ankle injury, because it can be a tricky joint to rehab. I was talking to a physio friend of mine recently, and she was like, I try and stay away from ankles. Ankles can be really tricky. And I think what the particularly hard part about ankle injuries is that if you can imagine the blood and the swelling which happens when you get an injury, it's going to fall downwards like a waterfall, okay, or water coming out of a tap. It's going to fall down, okay. It's going to sit at the lowest point in the system, and if it happens at the ankle, it's already at almost the lowest point in the body. What you get sometimes is swelling and bruising and discoloration around even the toes. And that's really super common. It can be difficult to get this bruising and swelling up and away and out of the system, and this can be a tricky one sometimes. So I'll give you a strategy around that. It's a really simple one. I'll talk about getting back into movement and getting back into return to daily activities, and then talk about returning back to sport and back into more kind of active activities. So your ankle fracture, first of all, what tends to happen is you tend to get a break of the fibia bone. The fibia bone is a smaller bone. They call it non-weight bearing, but it makes up the side of the ankle joint. So when you get a fracture in your ankle, it tends to be the fib, because if you roll over on your ankle, so if you roll over on the outside, the lateral part of your ankle, it's your fibia, which is making up the outside. It tends to be the smaller bone, and it tends to snap, and it can actually break quite easily. It can break just from stepping off a curb or tripping. It actually can fracture quite easily. Tibia breaks to the tibia tend to be more car accidents, bike accidents, falls where something has landed on you. They tend to be much more from high velocity trauma. You're going to get swelling with this. You're probably going to get put in a moon boot or a cast, and your ankle is going to be restricted, and that restricts something called the calf pump. The calf pump is kind of like a straw. If you imagine if I put a straw into this glass and I sucked the water up out of the straw, the calf pump works kind of like that. It kind of sucks, or it pushes the blood and the swelling and the inflammation, or that inflammatory exudate, that kind of hot, spicy, bruising liquid which forms when you get an injury, which is necessary because that contains all of the kind of building blocks, or that's all the materials that you need to kind of get in and repair either bone or ligament. When you have that moon boot on, you can't get that calf pump to work, so it's not really pushing the fluid out. So getting back to movement when you can, so when the moon boot comes off of the broken ankle, getting back into normal movement as you can, as pain allows, is really important, because you're helping to continue to move that swelling and move that bruising on. And often the ankle will look quite swollen, quite bruised. You might find that you've lost a lot of muscle around the area because it's been maybe 6 weeks in a cast or in a moon boot. Moon boot, sorry, is just a slang we use here. It's like this big kind of black strappy boot which keeps your ankle from moving. You are going to want to get moving, and there's a good analogy which one of my old mentors talked about a lot and used a lot, and she said, let pain be your guide. and this is really important, if you are starting to get moving and gradually, slowly starting to move on an ankle, you want to let pain be your guide. It's going to be a little bit sore, so you're going to only want to do a little bit each day, and if it's too sore the day after, then ease back what you've done. So don't go back to start going to the shops and doing a whole big full grocery shop in one day, or don't go and walk the dog for 5 kilometers. The next day it's going to be super sore, really swollen. What you're going to have to do is you're going to have to gradually look each day, doing slightly more, and when you are noticing the inflammation start to come down, great, perfect, keep doing that. If you notice the inflammation start to come back, then ease back what you're doing and just get a little bit slower with what you're doing. And you're using a strategy called the calf pump, which is a really nice one. Now, I'm actually going to lie up and show you what I'm doing here, because I have the couch behind me. So if I'm lying up here and I have my foot up on a couple of pillows, I'm just pumping my foot back and forth. So hopefully you can see that in the camera. I'm just lying back and I'm pumping my calf back and forth like this, okay? And what that's doing is that's kind of faking what you're doing when you're walking, and that's actually squeezing the muscle in the calf and getting it to really pull the inflammation out of the calf. So as you start to get back and you start to be more active, what you want to do is return to walking and activity in linear lines, okay? That means walking in straight lines. It means beginning to jog in straight lines. It means beginning to run in straight lines. And as you're able to achieve those markers without a lot of pain the next day, you can begin to increase what you're doing gradually, slowly. Then what you're able to do is, as you start to be able to meet those markers, you start to be able to introduce gentle, slow turns. So you might walk in a circle or walk with big curves or turns, and then as you be able to do that, and your jogging comes along, you can start to jog in these curves. And then as you start to be able to reach these, so you're running in straight lines, you might look at sprinting in straight lines, okay, for small amounts of time, looking at, again, am I flaring it up the next day, can I bring it back? As you start to meet these markers around turns, you start to maybe do more sharper turns. You might do more right angle turns. So if you're getting back to playing football, for example, a lot of field sports involve really quick change of directions. You know, you have to turn really quickly to get to the ball or to get to the person you're marking or get away from the person you're marking. It's a lot about short, sharp change of directions. So you can start to use 90-degree turns. So you might put a cone on the ground, you might run up to the cone, quickly change direction. You might practice running backwards as well, backwards and forwards, all about change of direction. Then you might start to bring in your lateral running, so you're sidestepping. And now you're gradually increasing and building up these little drills, and I would do these drills without any competition. So don't go back to training or a match. You'll tend to do too much too soon if you get enthusiastic and you think, no, it's fine, I'll just kind of go and play. The likelihood of re-injury on an ankle is very, very high. Okay, this is one of the biggest statistics. Ankles are one of the most highly re-injured and reoccurring injuries, and it can be frustrating because you think you're getting back to sport, then you hurt it again, and then you're out for another few weeks. So the biggest thing I would say about ankle rehab is proprioception, standing on one leg with your eyes closed, standing on the injured leg with your eyes closed, and rebuilding that balance, rebuilding that proprioception. And you can do this all the way through your pain journey, from when you get that moon boot off, weight bearing, and starting to re-establish the balance. Because what your nerves are doing, remember I talked about your nerves and the conductivity, that was in a previous video, sorry, they're sending data back and forth, and you need to re-establish that connection with the muscle and the nerve, and being able to send the information to the brain and then send the information back down from the brain. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you're interested, check out some of my other videos. Hopefully this has been helpful. You can like, comment, share, and if you have a case study for yourself, if you're thinking, oh Joseph, I've got this injury, this issue, and you want to reach out to me and get some advice, I'm happy to do that. You reach out. I can't provide specific advice. As a disclaimer, you know, I'm giving you general advice here. If you need specific treatment, you have to come into clinic and see me here. Okay, cheers guys, have a lovely day, and keep well.